Hello, I'm David Chaston with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week, get everything you need to know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock with news of a sharp run-up in bond yields. But first, China and the US seem to have agreed a mini-trade deal, one where the US suspends its next tariffs and China buys some rural products from farmers in Trump's heartland electoral states. Some US analysts say China emerges with wins from the deal. As best anyone can tell at this stage, it looks like China will buy about $50 billion of farm goods and keep on opening up its finance sector, both things China either offered 2 years ago or is doing anyway. Given that the US merchandise trade deficit with China hit more than $440 billion in the year to August, the ag purchases represent only about 10% of the US's perceived problem there. Meanwhile, 3 American financial regulators have issued a warning to firms with digital currency assets that they have an obligation to follow securities laws on anti-money laundering, including Know Your Customer and requiring disclosure of suspicious activity. In the US, a closely watched consumer sentiment index rose strongly in early October as consumers anticipated larger income gains and lower inflation during the year ahead. The US Federal Reserve said it would begin significant extra buying of Treasury bills to boost its balance sheet and avoid a recurrence of the unexpected strains experienced in money markets in the last few weeks. Canada has reported a strong labour market in September. Their unemployment rate fell sharply to 5.5%. In China, the pace of capital flight has picked up to record levels. And in Australia, political pressures are rising to force their banks to pass on the RBA's policy rate cuts in full to mortgage borrowers. Banks have held back about a third of those cuts in recent times to protect their term deposit savers and their margins because wholesale money rates haven't fallen as fully as the official policy rate. US Treasury 10-year yield has slipped back after a strong run-up over the weekend. It is now at 1.73% after touching 1.77% earlier. And gold was up $5 to $1,489 an ounce from where we left it on Saturday, but that's a $16 drop in a week. And US oil prices are up sharply today by more than $1, now at just under $55 a barrel. The Brent benchmark is just on $60.50 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar is firmed against the greenback today, now at 63.4 US cents, and actually this is its highest level in more than 3 weeks. On the cross rates, we're still at 93.2 Australian cents, and against the euro, we're still at 57.4 euro cents. That puts the trade-weighted index at just on 68.7. I'm David Chaston. That was 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.